Kentucky's largest comic and toy convention returns. This year, meet Star Trek's very own William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols. From Walking Dead, Melissa McBride. Check out the original Power Rangers, such a VIP party with Blackstone Cherry. The 2014 Lexington Comic and Toy Convention, March 14th through the 16th.
Hello, my name is Stephen Jones. I'm enrolled in Full Sail's music production program. For this assignment, I choose to interview Aaron Gabbard from Owensville, Kentucky. Aaron's field is visual media and music production. He creates podcasts as Comic Book Jerk, has created several short web series and several music videos for himself and bands in the area. He has a YouTube channel also. You can see all his videos at www.youtube.com/Aaron Gabbard. Aaron was unavailable to do this interview in person, but we emailed back and forth and I got his take on visual arts in his industry. Aaron, what do you see as a role in visual arts in society today, particularly in your profession? And his response: I think the role of visual arts is still the same since as the beginning. The zooproxoscope, which was a little disc that had a different picture on it that when spun around made a complete image. I think it was made around the time of like Cowboys. We actually used to make them when I was in school for one of my film classes. While being an animator, I sometimes tried to visualize one of the things before I opened my eyes. I use a lot of different techniques in my animations that may not catch the eye at first time you watch it, such as things floating in the background or backgrounds that pop up from behind my characters. Even on the eyes and the mouth and the movements of my characters, I have to have them line up and organized. It's funny how when doing animation sometimes you'll make the face yourself before you ever make the character perform it. But as far as society today part, it's the same as it's always been in entertaining people that make people experience different emotions like happiness, sadness, fear, excitement, and any other emotion that you can think of in a non-physical. In new communications, the media technologies make imaginary almost instantly available. Do you believe that it is having a positive and negative influence on your field/industry, and can give me an example? If you take a look at the birth of Napster, his response: the big record labels were afraid that this would be the depth of music. In many ways, it was. Eventually led to the pirating of not just music, but movies, TV shows as well. If you look at it from the perspective of the studios, piracy really hit the industry hard, and it has a negative impact on lower budget movies, studios, and even led to buyouts from several studios who couldn't afford to maintain their films. But I believe the media has been bouncing back over the years. When there was once several studios, there is now fewer, but studios incorporate more gimmicks to get more viewers in the theaters to recoup the cost of the film, such as 3D and using social networking sites, and the ability to advertise all over the internet, creating a big buzz about film years before released it, in some case like the comic book movies, creating hype before they were even filmed. But for many personal opinions, the negative outweighed the good, and it has been slow passing when it comes to studios getting grasp on how the internet draw bigger crowds. But one of the reasons I do what I do, as far as writing reviews and doing animations, is because of internet sites like comicbookjerk.com, unleashthefanboy.com, and many help to hype some of the biggest comic book movies before are even released or shot, and have even helped in casting process, or some great superheroes such as Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man is a perfect casting because the fans see how close the comics came to matching up to Robert Downey Jr.'s real life. Like, he was Iron Man before he was even in the cast, in the fans of the eyes, and the internet served to fully establish that. What popular images do you see that are frequently repeated throughout your industry? His response: I'm always digging through articles and stories about comic book films. I've always seen images of fans voicing who they want to play ironic superheroes. One of the particulars that I will always remember is how Superman Returned. The fan originally wanted Henry Cavill to be Superman, but Bryan Singer directed X-Men choose to get the unknown to play Superman. When Man of Steel was in talk of being made by Zack Snyder, he went to the fans for who they thought would make the best Superman. Go back to Zack Snyder, who nailed the audition. But has always seen silly casting rumors such as actors' head beginning superimposed on these heroes' bodies. It's just too bad that the most popular images on the internet now are Justin Bieber mugshots. Who's one of your favorite visual arts, or what is your favorite style of visual art? That is a hard question in his response to answer when you're in many comic books, so I would have to give all comic book pencilers and artists equal credit. But I would say comic books have been my favorite type of visual arts, with animations and cartoon comics in second. But recently my favorite style of visual arts has been those people who go out of their way to do video reviews of products, video games, and even movies, such as James Ralph from Angry Video Game Nerd, who does comic reviews of classic Super Nintendo games in the way that not only educates but you can also make laugh. The way he can use classic 8-pixel content and turn it into its own show is pretty amazing to me, and something I strive to do with my review of comic book films, not only to bring that sense of education but pure shock value that helps you laugh, or to the point of something you always notice but never really thought much about, enough to talk about it to anyone. How has your knowledge of famous artworks influenced your creative process? His response: now when people say famous, most people jump to Mona Lisa, but I jump right into classic works of Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, Jim Lee, Jack Kirby, and even Todd McFarlane, all of which have not only created what I consider the new mythology of today's generation, but also the artists who helped create first superheroes, and over the years it seems they have become bigger and bigger. If you look at the first appearance of Superman in Action Comics, no one you can see the price of it sold for more than $2.8 million. So to me, there's not just comic books, that they are a work of arts that still to this day hold stories that every man and woman and child can feel a little to themselves attached to. Each day I am shocked how I was review, because I am able to understand that each review I make, there is something driving me, something seen in myself that motivated me to speak about, whether it be that film that didn't show off the true essence of the characters of the comics, or that it did a perfect job capturing over 100 years of characters in only 2 hours of time. It is very influential to me that when comic book movies doesn't match the comic books, because it really gives me a chance to point out all the flaws in the film in a way I could have made it better. I'd like to thank Aaron for his time and encourage you to check out his YouTube channel. Thank you for watching this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it.